What's up, everybody? Welcome, Cantina Hour, my friends. We are here. We are live. We're going to be talking about Daredevil Born Again, episodes 1 and 2. So, spoilers ahoy in just a moment. If you haven't watched it yet, I'm sorry, but we are going to be talking about it. We're going to be doing this more often, if you will, trying to talk about the episodes as they air each and every week because, man, Daredevil's back after 7 years. It has been 7 years, believe it or not. And so, of course, go to Hopspeak News on YouTube if you're watching here, which is where we're live at. Please go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification button. Don't miss a show, and come hang out with us. So my beer is actually from our friend Andrew, the Maynard Brewer. It's the Advancement of Interest from Emery's Tomb, Lost Shoe and Time Materials. It's a strong Belgian ale at 9%. It is pretty delicious, if you ask me. I like it a lot. And that is what we are up to. Lauren, welcome. Hit the folks with your beer as I post out on the socials.
So since we were talking in the first 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again, and again, like Matt said, spoilers, I am drinking a Calusa Brewing Cry, 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 because there was a lot of crying going on, rightfully so. And this is a hazy triple IPA at 10% ABV from Calusa.
Whoa, look at us going strong.
And I have it in my Spidey glass because Spidey got a shout out from Kingpin. How fun is that?
He did.
He's like,
How
no more
was
of this
that?
Punisher, Spider-Man, or Daredevil.
If you're wearing a Punisher suit, a Spider-Man suit, I don't care.
I'm coming for you. But first,
Rich, get yourself a
let me
Calusa
tell
beer,
you
or
about
did
my
Rich want a
father.
Spider-Man suit? I can't tell what you mean, Mama
Rich wants a
Harper.
cry.
Oh, I thought Rich wanted a Spider-Man suit.
Maybe.
I do too.
My money's on Rich wants a cry.
Yes, probably, because Calusa is really good. But yeah, dudes, we're here, man. It's been 7 years, all right, and it's been a long time.
Crazy.
And Daredevil is back. There's a lot of excitement. Yeah, how do you feel? How do you feel with Daredevil back? I got chills when
Were they multiplying?
They were when they walked out of the bar, man, and I got the goosies, if you will, the goosebumps. It was so good to see them back again. So good to see them back again.
Yeah, I just kept like smiling and I'm like, I can't believe we're about to watch this. And Josh's like, what? I'm like, Daredevil's back. It's been years. It's been 7 years since we've had a new Daredevil episode. So I was just really excited. And now we're being forced to savor it week by week, whereas every other season I binged.
You know, I both love and hate that, right? Because initially I was the same, right? I was, hey, it both sucks and is so good that we get to go the week to week, because I feel as though the week to week model is making a comeback in a good way. I love and hate it in the sense that of course I want to binge it right away, but if you drop the entire season, it really has been 84 years, DT. I'm telling you, man.
It's been 84
if you binge the season right away, you're going to forget about it right away. Look at the Bear, like how quickly nobody talked about the Bear right away, versus if you actually have your season drawn out a little bit each week. It keeps the people guessing. It brings back that theories, because back in the day, kids,
WandaVision had been dropped all at once.
Yeah, well, remember, like back in the day, we used to theorize week to week from episodes of stuff. We would sit there, we'd talk with our friends and be like, what do you think's going to happen this week? Oh my God, this cliffhanger. There was
okay, so I feel like this is going to be a good example of how our age difference, because I feel like I didn't have that so much, because unless you had a DVR or you set your VCR, like I'll just catch it when it's syndicated next year. And a lot of shows.
What does that even mean?
You don't know what syndication is? When they put it on replays.
Oh, reruns. You could have said reruns.
Yeah.
All right, you didn't have to get weird. All right, Grandma.
Syndication is weird. It's an industry term.
Listen here, you go get my pack of smokes. They're about to syndicate my favorite episode of Friends.
That is not how that works. But I feel like shows used to be more so designed to catch you up in that one episode, whereas now, like, they're really long movies. Yeah, a lot of sitcoms. Even like some, if you had, I don't know if you would consider ER like a sitcom, and that was still.
It was like a drama. Yeah. I mean, you have your dramas and your sitcoms on your major television networks, right? And that's kind of what it was. You didn't have to tune in every episode, I feel like, but that's how they were kind of built.
I mean, there were still big cliffhangers with things, like when HBO came out with like Sopranos and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but, like I think like when I was like in high school,
Game
like
of Thrones.
I wasn't home to watch anything, and so it was like I didn't even watch all of Friends in order until they started releasing them on DVDs, and I would buy the DVD, and then I'd be like, "Oh, this makes more sense chronologically now."
Right. But I prefer it because I want to savor this. I know there's been some gripes and complaints, and that's fine. I totally get it. I might be more of a I love is blind kind of thing. I got the blinders on for a lot of things, but it really was refreshing. And right off the bat, I mean, episode 1, Jesus, we went from so excited to absolute turmoil in a span of 10 minutes. It
They
was
could have given us a little bit more time of just smiles, a little bit more time.
well,
And were Matt
yeah.
and Karen dating? Because I feel like they hinted at that they were.
It so I think they made a comment that they weren't. So they mentioned, "Are we trying this again?" And they were like, they made a comment or something. I'd have to go back and watch it again. I've watched
But I
it.
also thought they were trying to ditch Foggy so the two of them could leave. And they're like, no,
It
friend
did.
code, we can't do that.
They did kind of feel like that, but at the same time, so this bar Josie's has kind of turned into like the lawyer, the cop hangout, which is kind of cool. And they were sitting there, and they did some really cool things right off the bat. Right, we get the three of them together. You
And
know,
just Josie's. That made me
it
happy.
was great seeing Josie's. It was also cool because we saw, oh, hey, what's up? If you guys haven't caught the MegaCon episode I was on, Mercs on the Mic, go check out that YouTube channel. Wicked cool stuff, especially getting to meet Tom McFarlane, excuse me, over at MegaCon. That was a fun episode. Can't wait to get him on the show to talk. Big Daredevil guy, so we got to talk some Daredevil Wolverine, of course. At one point.
I mean, I'm always game to
Yeah.
talk Daredevil Wolverine.
But the stills that we got when the show first started filming of the three of them walking outside, I had no idea that was going to be the happiest we were with them.
Yeah.
Like the last time you're ever going to see them
It's
together.
like dead man walking.
Right. And the really cool things that they were doing in this, obviously there's no Marcy, which I thought kind of sucked because
I tried to look at his hand at a point to see if he had a wedding ring on.
Didn't. Well, he was hitting on the girl.
Yeah, but I could see that just being kind of like his personality and doing that innocently, because
Yeah.
he's the type of guy that would flirt with, the 80-year-old lady. Like he would flirt
True.
with what's the honest cop's mom? Like, and give her
Oh
a
yeah.
cigar.
You're right. Yeah, I could definitely see that. But one really cool thing that they did, I don't
Mahoney.
know. Well, I wish Mahoney was there, but the aspect ratios changed whenever they were tuning into as Matt would listen in. I don't know if you noticed this, but it was really cool how
Showcasing
they
his
would
powers.
they would zoom into him and they would blur the background, and then they would blur Matt and they would zoom in on Foggy. Like the aspect ratios when he was listening in was really cool. It's a cool way to showcase his power, like his powers at work, his tuning in skills. I thought that was a really cool thing. And he tuned in on something is wrong. Benny, it was Benny, I believe. And yeah, right off the bat,
He eavesdropping.
Foggy says, "I didn't want to give you a reason," which
to put the suit back on.
Exactly. Because at this point, Matt probably he's trying to let the law work. The Foggy, Nelson, Murdoch, and Page is doing things. And Matt goes to find Benny, and that's when, unfortunately, yeah, it was really cool.
You can't even say it, yeah.
I know. Well, it's really cool. First of all, the Billy Clubs, how he's using them to swing through. I know people complain about his
CGI wasn't
acrobatics.
the best.
Okay, so the CGI was definitely jarring. I agree with that completely.
Spider-Man 2000.
And I thought the volume stage kind of didn't. It was weird when he's standing in the suit against the backdrop of New York. The volume stage stood out a little bit weirdly to me. But I think that was one of those things. Like I said, I think this was a last minute add in with the stuff because you got to think White Tiger stuff was done filming by the time he passed away in 2023.
Right.
So I think when they rewrote a lot of the show, they added some of that in, kept it in, and added it last minute, right? And so because that sequence doesn't match up with the rest of the stuff that we got, such as in episode 2, the fight sequence didn't look like that. So I'm willing to sit. And also, if we're adding Daredevil into the MCU, they kind of have to do, it's not going to be grounded like we're used to in the Netflix series. Let's be real.
Well, I think that was one of the things they were doing with his powers was trying to differentiate, like, this is not the Netflix Daredevil.
This ain't your Netflix, kids. Marcy was
this is something different. And I really liked Marcy. She shows up and like you're supposed to hate her, but I never hated her. And then I loved when we saw her actually like talking to Foggy, and we're like, okay, she's not a bad guy. She's just playing the part. She's doing what she has to do to get ahead. Like she's a young, brand new attorney.
It almost felt as though she was gonna flip on him at some point, but she never did. Was really nice.
She helped him. She flipped on her own office, and like remember in season 1, she gave them stuff to pin Fisk.
Yeah.
to pin down Kingpin. But no, I always liked her. And even like at first when Karen's, she was putting on this persona and Foggy knew she wasn't evil. That's why he's like, would you go all evil? So I feel like if they had him get married and what they did to him, that would be a whole other thing. They would have had to have Marcy show up. They would have had to have like the grieving widow. Like they would have had to have played into that. Maybe they just didn't have time to deal with it.
Yeah, they would have had to have a funeral of sorts. You're right.
And
But
so
I feel
there's
like there
like
should
one
have
year
been
later,
something with them. We'll see. Who knows? There's a whole lot of season, right? A whole lot of ball game left, if you will. And apparently Foggy's confirmed for season 2, so I'm interested to see how that rolls in.
flashbacks.
Flash,
Or it
who
could
knows?
be he's in witness protection. I feel
Yeah,
like we saw him die. This wasn't like
we definitely. Okay, so that was
a
really cool.
building fell on him and maybe he's alive.
Bullseye's coming down there. He's just psychopathically killing everybody, throwing the knives. The one-shot fight sequence that begins to go through the bar, up the stairs. Matt's taking knives. You would have thought his suit probably would have been. I wonder, did it stop the knives or was he getting stabbed still? I'm
I think he
curious
was getting stabbed a little, but I think it was stopping it to a degree. Josh was asking about that. And I'm like,
because I
don't you
was
remember he
curious.
has suits made and he's got a new suit maker?
Because
And
I was like, why don't you have at least something to stop knives, my guy? Jeez.
because he
But
thought Bullseye was in jail.
we are
Like Bullseye
dead.
should have been in jail. Like they didn't discuss that. Like he's on trial for these
I
things and he
think we're
gets
going to get a lot more into Bullseye as the season goes on, too. If just based off of Wilson Bethel's interviews that he talks about, it sounds like we're going to get some more in depth with Bullseye. So there's probably going to be some things added in. I wouldn't be surprised if they mentioned adamantium at all as well. I think
he'd be
that's
like,
where
oh,
we're
they
going to go.
tried Quagium Steel, but then I upgraded.
Yeah, I got upgraded. I'm the weapon 9.
Once Disney bought Fox, I was able to
My
upgrade.
doctor's got the Disney money and I got the new upgrade. But the
Well,
fight was
okay, so that too, because Bullseye doesn't just have an adamantium spine; he has a few other parts that are adamantium. So
yeah.
I'm thinking that like his skull adamantium, the
Um
way he fell.
we'll have
He
to
doesn't
okay.
have healing powers.
Let's we'll get to that. So the fight was awesome. They're back and forth. They get up there. I love when Daredevil basically he's listening to Foggy's breath during the fight. I like how the sound
Yes,
worked. So the sound would go in and out between the fight and Foggy and Karen. I thought that was really well done. And then when
you kept
Foggy
hearing
takes
Karen
his
say over and over, like, "Foggy,
yeah,
hold on."
so Foggy takes his last breath. We hear that, and then just Matt's anguish was really just you felt it. And then he's like, "Why?" And then you get that little. It's a little moment that Bullseye does, but he like hits him on the shoulder like two friends joking around. That I thought was it was a quick like blink and you missed it, but it was I don't know if it was ad libbed or what, but Wilson Bethel just basically slaps him on the when he's like, "Why?" And he puts his head up against Bullseye's and he taps him like, "Hey, old friend, just haha." And that's
Yeah,
when
they
Matt
were
throws
really
him off the
close
building.
there.
Matt throws him off the building, and I thought that was cool. And then shout out to Deborah Ann because this is where she hears the body drop behind her, and she's basically like, "Oh God, please," because she thinks it's Matt. You can
Mm,
tell, so she thinks it's Matt, and she's
'cause she
basically
just
like,
lost
"Oh God, not
Foggy.
you too, not you too, not you too," and she turns around and she takes that really big, deep sigh of relief to see that it's Bullseye, realizing that Matt just tossed his ass off the roof and has crossed a line at the same time. That was crazy. It was just
At
so
least he tried to cross the line.
well, right. And then the cop walks out and Matt had taken off his mask and threw it down. And that's when he sees it. And I thought it was really cool how the mask is falling down and it turns into the
The
intro.
D.
Yeah.
Well,
So
and you see the D for the horn. I thought that
oh,
was really cool.
so what were your thoughts? What do you feel about the fight? What do you think about rolling into the new intro that we kind of have?
I thought it was all perfect. I loved it. I honestly loved all of it. Sorry, DT. But the intro I thought was really good because it was like a nod to the old one, but it was showing him just like deteriorating. And so I thought
Yeah.
that was really cool. Like he's like, falling apart kind of thing. Whereas in the original one, it was building up. Daredevil was being created. And now it's like he keeps trying, I guess, to retire Daredevil.
This man
And
wants nothing more than to retire. And he keeps
I don't know
getting
that he
rocked.
does though. But I
That's
mean,
true.
you did see him very frustrated, like he didn't want to be back in it in that last scene. But like, I mean, he wouldn't have never started if this isn't what he wanted. I think the thing is, like, I think Foggy is like the worst person that he could lose. Foggy is by far the person that means the absolute most to him, more than Elektra, more than Karen, more than
Yeah.
is none of a mother more than anybody. Like Foggy is
Foggy
his
was his boy, yeah.
Foggy's
That
his
was his
emergency
ground, his
contact.
lightning rod, if you will,
Well,
you
maybe
know?
Claire's his emergency contact. But now that Foggy knows, Foggy's his emergency
Well,
contact.
yeah, I was gonna, it's akin to Barry Allen having Iris West as his lightning rod to keep him grounded. And it's one of those things. Foggy is his lightning rod; it keeps him grounded. And now that he doesn't have that, he crossed the line. And then we flash forward to a year later. He's got that practice with the new the DA. He, not the new DA
Which
because
she was
she
driving me
lured
nuts. I
her
couldn't
away.
figure out what she's from. Severance. She
Oh, is
goes on
she
a date
okay?
with Mark. Yeah.
God dang it, that show!
I
If I
didn't
had a
figure it out. I went to
dollar
IMDb.
for every time I heard that show's name recently and how I need to watch it, I haven't
You need
watched
to
it yet.
watch it.
I know Sean has been telling me to watch it. Maybe eventually. There's too much right now. Okay, I don't know what to tell you, but
You
we
don't have
roll.
to watch Deal or No Deal Island. You can
I
watch
love,
Severance.
but sometimes I just want to watch something that doesn't require brain function. Okay, it's
Well,
nice.
this has brain function stuff in it.
It does. Well, anyways, the
Speaking
first
of
episode
brains
was a
on
lot of
statements.
lawyer work, and that's where we also see that Wilson Fisk is having marital issues. He disappeared. So Wilson Fisk straight up kind of disappeared. They never said that he went to jail. It was more of he just disappeared to go heal.
Well, after Maya shot him in the face, he was in recovery for a
Okay,
while.
that was
And
a
we
great
don't.
callback.
That was a great
The
callback.
scene with Matt and Fisk and their chemistry together is off the charts. And they're sitting in the diner, and he's like, "Do
And
you
they're
have
catching up.
kids?"
Do you have any
Yeah,
kids?
well, he said they're like, "Do you
No,
have any
do you?
kids?"
Yeah.
No, do you? I tried to mentor somebody once. It didn't work out. I heard she shot you in the face. This generation. It was so fun how this little
Generation, and
thing.
they're shooting people in
I
the
know it was
face.
so much fun, and it was like this little, like two friends having a conversation after a while. They hate each other, and it's basically Matt making sure he's keeping up his end of the deal, which he has, and they loathe each other, but at the same time, there's definitely a mutual respect between the two.
Well, they had a gentleman's agreement, and they both honored it.
Which, say what you will about Fisk, I
He is a
respect
man
that.
of his word.
When he was a boy, he was a man of his word.
One thing his father.
Meanwhile, Vanessa's stepping out with somebody named Adam.
She's like, please don't kill him.
But like,
I don't even know
okay,
what she said, please, but she's like, don't kill him.
I did not expect those two to be having issues, but it makes sense. What
Makes
were you?
complete sense.
What were your thoughts? Well, we got Vanessa back. We fought, and they were originally going to recast her. Thankfully, they didn't. We have Vanessa back. What were you feeling? We get her back, but now it's not their love. She wanted into his world, and now she wants. She was doing the family business, if you will, and now she's basically a stranger.
And she was doing the family business way better than he did. Like, she had
Yeah.
it on lock and key, which I thought it was really cool because it explains where she's been. Like, she's been there. He was just not paying her any attention. And like at the end of season 3, she's like, I want to be part of this. I want to be equally, respected.
She's the reason why Nadine died.
Right. And then they both are in handcuffs in the last episode. We still don't know where Fisk was between that and Hawkeye.
No, they haven't explained what happened. Yeah.
And like, I assume he was out during the blip because he put the hit on Maya's father, but he could have done that from No, he's in that scene, isn't he? After Ronan kills the dad? I don't remember.
I don't remember. I have to go back and watch.
I don't know, but I'm assuming Fisk is not in jail at that time. So it's like, why didn't he go to Vanessa?
I don't know that he ever went back to jail. That's the thing. I really don't think he ever did go back to jail.
So they just arrested him. They made Nelson, Murdoch, and Page, and then...
Well, because they never mentioned him going back to jail.
Again.
I don't think he would have gotten out that easily again, right? They would have made some sort of mention like, oh,
right,
Fisk is back in jail again.
Like, even just a one-liner or whatever, like, oh, he got whatever out on a technicality or a mistrial or whatever. At least we had that gentleman's agreement. Like, come on.
Right.
Like, give us or during the blip, we had to release a bunch of people from prison. Like, more of our cops disappeared than our inmates.
And I guess, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll find out more of that. Who knows? But I do feel as though they're setting Vanessa up to betray Fisk, perhaps. But I think
he needs her more than she needs him.
Right. And I'm curious, do you think Fisk would ever cross that line? Because now he's a mayor. So by the end of episode 1, he's Mayor Fisk now. He is the guy. And we kind of talked about, the famous storyline by Charles Soule was essentially Fisk rigs the election, runs as independent. That's not quite what happened. Actually, James Gandolfini's
Son Michael
son.
Gandolfini.
Yeah, he helps. And dude, he sounds just like his dad, and he's crushing it.
Yeah, well, he played his dad,
He
or
did.
young Tony Soprano in that movie. Yeah. Well, as soon as I saw Michael Gandolfini at the beginning, and I looked at Josh, I'm like, "Is that James Gandolfini's kid? That
I
is." And then as
totally
soon as I
forgot he was going
saw
to
him,
be in it.
like, well, see, I avoided everything outside of the
Oh,
very
that's right.
first trailer. I have avoided all interviews and all of that stuff. So it's like I really like I wanted to go into this really not knowing anything and not really having any expectations other than
That
what I've gotten
is.
from the past Daredevils and Hawkeye and She-Hulk. And you think they'll mention She-Hulk? I feel like they need to mention She-Hulk.
I do wonder if they're going to mention her in some capacity. I feel like that's too big not to.
Or just be like, oh, little Mr. Big Time met Hulk. Like, just come on, give us something.
I mean, they have to, right?
I know he's not a name dropper, but
We'll
I don't know. But
see.
why do you think that Bullseye didn't shoot Karen from far away? Do you think because he wanted to
I
do it up close and
think he
savor
wanted
it?
to do it up close because him and Karen have more history than Foggy. Because if you remember
Yeah.
in season 3, Foggy was just kind of there, and versus Karen, who was actually the one exposing the story. And so I think he wanted to come up close because they have he
Like,
came close
hello,
to kill.
Karen.
It goes back
Nice
to the
to
whole
see you
church sequence
again.
in season 3, right? Where he was in the whole church, she was protected, and then she was right in front of him and then got away. I think it was one of those things to make sure if he kills her up close, he knows she's dead versus she's going to get away. Foggy doesn't really
Maybe he
matter.
wants her to know.
Right. And I think that was the other thing. He wanted to instill the fear because, again, Foggy was just kind of fodder, I feel like, at that point. He
Which is
knew
so
Foggy, but he didn't care as much about Foggy versus Karen because of the history there.
Foggy's just a lawyer, yeah. Well, and I
Right.
thought it was funny too when he came up and he's like, "Hello, Karen. It's nice to see you." Because remember, he said that to her when he was dressed
Mm-hmm.
in the Daredevil costume, and she's like, "I've never met him before,"
That's
but
not
because that's
him.
not Daredevil, yeah. But now she has. But
And
so I also feel like it was like he was given a mission, kill Karen, and he never completed that mission.
that is another thing. Also, I wanted to point out real quick. I feel like that dude would definitely be dead because he got thrown off the 2-story, 3-story building and his head definitely hit the concrete. But what do I know?
That's what I was saying about maybe his adamantium in his skull because it
He
looked like his
must.
head was bleeding.
That dude
And
definitely hit face off the ground.
but my first thought was, oh, okay, they ended season 3 with the setup, so they're just wrapping this up real quick and they're gonna do Muse.
But I think he's coming back more.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, the fact that they didn't need to go to court other than I guess to show it's a year later and show
I
they're
thought that
still
was a really
hurting.
cool thing where he showed no remorse. He's
Well, 'cause he's a
recovered. He's
total
fine now. And
psychopath.
Matt goes on the stand. Karen shows up because Karen disappeared. It turns out afterwards, Matt kind of withdrew and Karen was by herself and she went to San Francisco, which is a storyline from the comics. She goes to San Francisco in the comic books. And so she does that here and Matt's desperate. And it's another one of those things where it almost feels like they were dating. And
Yes.
because
Even when she
Matt's
came back, he
wanting her to
seemed
go,
pissed at her, like she was leaving him and
like she
breaking up with
ghosted
him,
him.
yeah, but he was like Matt, like their relationship in that scene, that was not anything we had ever seen
That wasn't
in
just
the Netflix
friends.
series.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I felt like that. And then when they were just the two of them in the bar and they wanted to leave Foggy, it seemed like they wanted to
First of all,
leave
Foggy also had a glow up, and as did Karen. They both looked really good.
I
I
feel like
just want to
Karen
point
looks
that
the
out.
same. I feel like she
No,
just
her hair was different. She got her hair did. Foggy had a nice cut
it's been
with a
7
beard.
years.
I know, but Foggy was kind of a snack, and then he died.
Foggy was somebody who needed to grow into his features.
Yeah, and episode 2 was really cool. So, in episode 1, we have Matt's new lawyer friend essentially set him up on a blind, haha, if you will, date at the coffee shop saying he needs therapy, she needs a lawyer, and that's where we meet Heather. And
And I
episode
think
2,
she meant Muse at her book
okay,
signing.
so that's what I was getting to. So we know Muse is going to be a villain. We kind of get somebody painting a picture of Fisk at the end of episode 1.
Yeah.
As there's really
that's it.
cool.
That's
Fisk is
gotta be
standing
him.
up there. Murdoch's down on the ground. They're looking at each other. The coloring. I think
It's probably
Muse
painted with
is that
blood.
kid that goes up to her and says he needs help.
Yeah.
That's definitely got to be. Somebody theorized that Fisk's, the guy who gets the book and sets him up at therapy was Muse, but I was like, no way. That guy is kind of buff. Muse looks lanky kind of in the previews. It's got to be that kid. That kid was from Wednesday, actually. He plays in Wednesday. I think he's a bad guy in Wednesday as well. He is. And so it's interesting he's now in this because I knew I recognized him and I had to look it up. It was one of those, where have I seen him before?
I didn't recognize him at all, but he was too awkward and
We
too
didn't finish
weird.
Wednesday. But yeah,
And like,
also it was really
yeah.
weird and
So
uncomfortable.
like this kid's definitely got to be relevant. And then when she was doing the therapy session with Wilson and Vanessa, I thought it was going to be that kid.
Yeah, I think we're going to get some of that. So
I wonder if he'll end up
wonder if
becoming the therapist.
yeah, that's what I was getting at right there. You read my mind. We finished each other's sandwiches. I do wonder because she doesn't know Matt's Daredevil, which I think is cool because we're back to that secret identity thing
Because he
again.
hasn't been Daredevil. He's not Daredevil.
Well, right. And this one essentially is where we get to meet White Tiger, who sees a guy getting beat up on the train platform. He goes to help out. There's a fight goes down. The guy gets pushed in front of a train. Turns out they're undercover cops who are beating up a guy. And now he's in jail getting roughed over by the cops. He tells Matt that he's a vigilante. Matt gets mad, which is great.
He doesn't tell Matt. He tells Matt he's not, and that he. And
Matt,
that's right. That's right. Matt's like, okay, and you can tell he's telling the truth that he did not mean to.
But he's hiding something. That's what it was.
And that's when he sends the one guy. What's his name? It was the
cop. I just always think of him. You know what? This sounds maybe it's wrong, but he reminds me of the detective from Dexter.
Which one?
The fat Latino guy in Dexter. I don't know why.
Batista?
I feel like they're playing the same character almost in my head.
I didn't get it. I didn't see that. I think
it's just me being a piece of shit. So I apologize.
Just being racist.
But
I was going to say, I didn't pick up on that vibe at all. But I did, yeah, so then he sent him to go investigate, and that's when he found. And it's always so funny because they do this in Supernatural all the time too. Like, oh, I'm going to sit with this person.
I like that she just lets him go into the bedroom to look through stuff. Like,
but they do that in Supernatural all the time too. And they're, oh, where's your restroom? You're just going to let this other random guy while you're
roam through your house.
And then what are the chances that they would find something that they intentionally hide from anybody who comes to their house? And this guy's going to find it in the 5 minutes he's back there.
Exactly. And so, yeah, the amulet, Matt finds out who he is, and that's why. And
he does a great job of getting that suppressed to the jury.
He does. And so that's a really interesting storyline. And so they're looking for the witness. And this is where Matt kind of has to lean into his Daredevil bit again, and he follows the one cop, ends up finding the guy, goes to the apartment, beats the cops there, calls his friend to meet him at a specific spot. The witness gets out, and that's when the cops show up, rough Matt up a bit. And this really good scene. This is what makes me have faith in the season, right? So we talked about the CGI bits. Yeah, I feel like you're going to have CGI at a certain point because it's not going to be a very grounded show.
Yeah,
now that we're bringing in characters like Muse, who I'm going to talk about Muse some more in a second. But the fight sequence that kicks off where the cops are about to kill Matt because he knows what's going on, even though he's a lawyer, they know who he is.
And I know they have like a gun to his head. Like, really? You guys are just going to kill this blind lawyer? Like, that's
of course they're going to get away with it. It's NYPD, man. And Matt kicks their ass, breaks the arm, bashes their heads in, and he yells and ends the episode. That was
and he's so irritated when they have the gun to his head. He's not scared at all. He's irritated. He's like, why are you making me do this?
Exactly. He doesn't want to be Daredevil, but they're making him essentially. They put him in a corner.
I don't think it's that he doesn't want to. I think it's like, to him, it's a drug and he's an addict and he's trying to not do it. He's trying to suppress it because you even see at one point, he's like walking. I think it was after his date and he hears somebody yelling for help.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I feel like that's like so out of character. You did see a couple of things that when he was with Heather, was it?
Yes.
Where like when that crowd came out and he like grabbed her real quick and got her out of the way.
Yeah, the quick reflexes.
Like, oh, sorry, I fell. So
it was nice, but that fight sequence is awesome. But Muse. So Muse is going to be one of the villains, and Muse likes to paint with his victims, body parts. Muse is gnarly. Yeah. And Muse is basically just a made up character by Charles Soule. And one of the things that Muse can do is a black hole, and he takes Matt's senses away. Essentially, that's how he can fight Daredevil, which I think is going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. He's definitely that kid. I have a feeling for sure. It's a couple. So I just want to go into a couple of things I think they're pulling from real quick, because that cop, Matt, we get the close up of the Punisher tattoo on the cop's wrist. which is
Yes,
going to be
which
another storyline.
obviously Daredevil though can't see that. So I thought that like that's
No,
not something he's going to be able to pick up unless it's a
but
fresh tattoo.
this is
He's not going
when
to know it's a
Punisher
skull.
is going to come in. So, all right. So Ed Brubaker's Supreme arc explores similar themes. When Castle discovers corruption within the police force, his immediate response is slaughter. While Murdoch tries to expose the truth through illegal channels, the Born Again trailer teases that Matt and Frank will jump at each other's throats again. So I
Do you,
recommend, if you're interested, reading the Supreme story arc of Frank Castle. It's the perfect way to kind of understand that the cops don't, even just like real life, the cops that adopt the Punisher symbol, they don't understand what it is.
I was just going to say, but that's pure symbolism to there were people who were actually doing that in real life too.
Exactly. Right. And Frank Castle hates those people. And he's going to catch wind of it because we know he's in the season and he's going to kill some corrupt cops. And it's going to bring them.
If Punisher showing up, he's definitely killing someone.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to see how they do that too. Another thing. So Heather Glenn is a therapist counseling Fisk and Murdoch. Of dating Murdoch, actually, which is quite different from the comic books, where Heather Glenn was a socialite and daughter of Maxwell Glenn, president of Glenn Industries. Her story becomes intertwined with Matt Murdoch's when he uncovers a criminal conspiracy involving her father, who the Purple Man, Jessica Jones, was controlling. Despite Daredevil's efforts to find evidence that would exonerate Maxwell Glenn without exposing his secret identity, Heather's father ultimately committed suicide. And actually, Heather ends up committing suicide as well, believe it or not. Very tragic. And then on to Muse now. Charles Soule's disturbing serial killer creates art installations from human remains, including a mural painted with the blood of 100 victims. Crazy. Unlike typical Daredevil villains who are either skilled fighters or crime bosses, Muse possesses supernatural abilities that make him uniquely dangerous. His body acts like a black hole. It absorbs all sensory information around him, which makes him imperceptible in battle. Without his heightened senses, Matt Murdoch is exceptionally vulnerable, making Muse a formidable adversary for the Man Without Fear. Yes, and I'm pretty sure it's the kid who asks for Heather's therapy help, without a doubt.
It's super, super, super creepy Muse. I'm excited to see it, but I feel like it's going to be like scenes that you're going to have to turn away at.
Oh, don't let your kids. I want to see how gruesome they get with Muse. Again, he is somebody that paints with body parts. You know, it's art with body parts. I'm very, very curious. We didn't get him in these first 2 episodes.
No, that's why I was surprised.
Well, we didn't get him. We probably got him, but we didn't.
No, I do. I think he's also showcasing and canvassing, and I think that art was definitely his. Which is kind of cool that they're laying these little Easter eggs to pick up later. But so somebody who showed up that I got really excited as soon as I heard her name that we haven't talked about is BB Urick.
Okay, we didn't even talk about that. Okay. Thank you for reminding me, because BB Urick, I really enjoyed how they filmed her going through the streets and interviewing people.
Well, and I think that's a good twist too, because this movie or this series is, again, 7 years since the last time we saw him, and a lot has changed since then with cell phones and with how we get our information and everything. And you're seeing more people filming when Fisk gets out of the car and he's like, we're going to fill this hole and get stuff done.
You wanted me to do that, right? That's what you wanted. Did you think that was a Spider-Man No Way Home hole? Because I did at first.
Maybe
I thought for sure it was. And
it's been a while, though.
No way that is. I know. At first I was like, oh my gosh, wait. But it was just a pothole, or not more than a pothole.
Did they show the Statue of Liberty? I feel like they need to show this. Okay. What's going on with that? Does it still have the shield, or did the Spider-Man completely knock the shield down and they're leaving the shield down?
I have no idea. I don't remember.
Because Yelena mentioned going to see the shield.
She did.
Or see the new Captain America.
I don't know.
Go see the new Statue of Liberty.
Yes, Fisk is all about getting stuff done. He hops out of his car because they're taking forever. He goes and he just randomly pulls people aside, and you consider your permit approved.
Yeah, because that's how that works.
Exactly. In the city of New York. If only it were that easy.
When I was a boy,
modern politics, they were getting a little. All right, they were getting a little close to real life at times. I thought for sure Fisk was going to say, "Make New York great again," and I did
too.
I was going to be like,
I did too. I was like, they do it in Supernatural, make hell great again.
They do, but
I didn't think that Disney was going to go that direct.
I thought 1,000% when his slogan was about to come out of his mouth, I was like, oh my God, they're going to say Fisk is going to make New York great again. And I was going to turn the TV off because I just needed a break from reality. It was getting too close to home.
I think the hat was a nod to the MAGA hats.
Oh, of course. The whole Fisk campaign was of criminal
But
running
it's
for,
like,
come
okay,
on.
but it's reality looking at fiction and vice versa. It's like, which came first? It's like a lot of these comic book
The
villains
chicken
were
or the egg?
created.
I don't know.
Yeah.
How
Well,
expensive
I
is it?
know which one came first there because in the Bible they say all things were put on earth full grown, so the chicken came first.
Ah,
But these villains are a lot of times mirrored after real life villains. But now we're coming like full
Donald
circle. So it's
wishes
how
he had the
much
strength that Fisk has.
but how much is it fiction copying reality or vice versa?
So
It's
you're
all
telling me
blending into
Melena's
one.
out there running the corrupt criminal underground?
Well, I mean, look at Magneto. Like, how
I
relevant is
know,
some of
no,
this stuff,
you are right. I'm
he
gonna say
said?
though, legitimately, you are right. Not to dive. I was just like,
I don't wanna be right.
that was one of the things that I was, oh God, they're gonna do it.
I was
But
waiting for it too. Yeah, yeah.
I was, they got pretty close. But I do truthfully feel as though Wilson Fisk is trying to play it straight. However, this is another cool part, right? The funeral of the New York cop that died, we get to meet the police commissioner. And that's, who basically lays into Fisk, I'm going to see you back in
Yeah,
jail.
but
You
he's
have a lot of
also kinda
nerve.
douchey at the same
He
time.
is.
I don't know what it
He's a New
is.
York
It's like
Police Department
but
cop.
I
Of
feel like,
course
oh,
he
he's
is.
he's going against Fisk, that's good, but he's also a dick.
I mean, NYPD, man. You can't, anyways.
Hey, John McClane was NYPD.
He was before they went corrupt. I don't know. Okay, another really funny part
Do you
that is
think he
very
was one of
fiction. The
the
most
NYPD that tried to get Santa Claus in Central Park because he was put on the
Probably, I
naughty
could see
list?
that. I could see that. The one of the most outrageous parts of this is the NYPD not having funding, because they're the most well-funded police department ever. So that was a funny portion to me. But you have that scene where the police commissioner basically announces resignation, and that's when Fisk, sneakily picks up the D'Angelos outside of King of Prussia. You have these really good D'Angelos, and it's the
It's like
picture
the
of,
food's not even good.
yeah, it's the picture of the kid. So he has an illegitimate child. And so instead of, blackmailing, I'm going to kill your family, it's more of, hey, you have this child that I know about, your wife doesn't know about. What if this got out? Which causes him not to resign. And the
Mm.
guy was like, all right, I won't
But you'll
resign, but I'm
still be
coming after.
sorry.
Yeah. And the guy leaves, and Fisk is like, that food was disgusting. That was great. Because in my head, D'Angelo's was a chain Subway type restaurant growing up.
Honestly, I don't know anything about Philly cheesesteaks other than Primanti Brothers because we have that in Fort Lauderdale.
Which is crazy to me.
But I always just get the
Yeah,
pizza. We call it 24-hour pizza.
I know that's
But
crazy.
he also, though, when he's sitting with Vivi Uric, and he's like, "Oh, I knew Ben. I knew your uncle." He didn't
Yeah. Okay.
personally kill
Yeah.
him. He didn't
Talk
even
about that a bit.
send
Yes.
someone. Yeah, when Ben died, like that was at Fisk's hands. Like he did that.
He literally
And
choked him out.
yeah, what I did really like though was when she left. For one, we never saw James Gandolfini Jr. give her phone back. I hope she got her phone back.
Oh yeah, he was like, I called in a favor for this, and he was essentially like, I'm really sorry, Mr. Fisk. He wasn't supposed to ask that question because she asked about Vanessa, and Fisk has taken a liking. I kind of get the vibe he's going to take him as like this underling almost.
Yeah, I wonder how that'll go. Because sometimes when you have somebody who's a little too eager with a villain, it
We
could go one or
already
two
saw it
ways.
happen in Penguin.
Yeah. Oh God.
Oh
Oh, I don't
God,
even want to
not
think
to
about
bring
that
that up
again.
again, but yeah.
That was wow, fresh wound, Matt. Real.
Oof,
Just rip that
we're just
scab off.
reopening things, just, hey,
Oh,
remember our pal.
Josh asked the other day when season 2 of Penguin's coming out. I'm like,
Not
we'll
for a bit,
see.
because we can't
Yeah,
even
get
freaking
the
get
Batman
Batman
movie.
to, my God. Oh,
Yeah.
now Robert Pattinson says that he has a vague idea of the Batman 2, and he's working to collaborate with Zoe Kravitz on other projects.
The headline I saw was Robert Pattinson says this movie needs to come out soon because he's going to be old.
I saw that too, and it's like, yeah, no, don't kid him, Rob.
That's
God
all. I
dang
mean,
it.
we don't even get the Young Avengers anymore because they waited so
Yeah,
long.
every Young Avengers is
People are
35.
aging.
Guys,
Yeah.
guess what? Time isn't stopping for you to write your stupid
Yeah,
movie
they're not
script.
actual superheroes. I mean, Bruce Wayne never was. His
Oh man,
superpower is that he was
money.
born into wealth. Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, there was a lot that happened, and so if DT, if you're still there, I'm curious. I would love to know about the cracks in the first couple episodes, because we haven't really talked about it in the Discord. I know you mentioned you didn't like it. I definitely want to know what he thought were the cracks, because I know people are complaining that, little known fact, everybody, I know there was complaints about the CGI. I think people are complaining about the fights. However, the
I
fight
said that immediately.
choreographer were
Oh, the
literally
fights
the
were
same
great.
people. Well, it's
That
because it's
CGI
mostly the
at the
same
beginning
team.
was rough.
I get it. The CGI was jarring. I'm on board with that. But the fight choreographers, a lot of the people who worked on the original Netflix series are back for this series as well. And so
We didn't get much fighting this though.
we didn't. The first 2 episodes, they gave us 2 fight scenes.
Yeah, it
Bullseye
started
and the
and
end
it
of episode
ended.
2. Sorry, Andrew. I know you're in the chat now. I know you're late. Dee Dee's on cue for the weekend. I'm trying not to spoil. It's a spoil episode. I'm sorry. I know you popped in. I'm drinking Amory's Tomb. Delicious. I can't wait. Can't wait to see you in a month when I come up to drop the kids off in Mass before I go see Lauren for like 2 hours and then I hop on a Disney cruise. But yeah, so we only really got 2 fight sequences. I think they're going to amp it up
Oh,
obviously more.
definitely. Because that was the
And
whole thing. He was like doing that like primal scream of like, I'm back in the game now. But also, okay, so how it ended, like, how does he wrap that up? How does he clean that up? Because he now has two
that's my next
people
guess. He's got
that
2
are
cops
beat to shit
and his
in this
blood
guy's
is on the floor.
apartment. So I feel like what these guys are going to claim is that they went to go ask this guy questions or something and he beat them up.
But he can't. So but that's where it comes in, right? Why were
They're
you
they're
there? You let a
both in
blind
a
guy beat you up?
but they're both in a situation. I feel like, how do you explain
I
this?
feel like that they're gonna have
Or
to
all
wipe it
three of
under
them,
the
I guess.
rug because there's no way that they can fully say that they went there and he beat them up
Yeah, for
because they
one, they
put a gun
shouldn't have
to
been
his head.
there because if you're going to a potential witness, like that could be like a mistrial and mess things up in and of
Exactly.
itself.
The cops can't confess that they were there. The
So you
cops
think
can't
they're just
confess.
gonna dip out and pretend they were never there and just be like, "Oh, we got
Exactly.
mugged."
That's probably what's gonna happen because they can't say that they went to this guy's house. They put a gun to Murdoch's head to kill him,
They definitely
and
aren't
then
gonna
he
say
beat
that.
their ass because he's a lawyer, a high profile
He's a
lawyer at
really good
that,
lawyer.
and a very good
He
lawyer.
represented Spider-Man.
So, and then they also
He
can't
may
say
be
that
happy.
because who's going to believe them with a blind? Because Matt can play up the blind card. Who's going to believe them that a blind
Right.
guy beat them up?
Especially because Matt has actual proof, like his pupils don't
Exactly. They
dilate.
cracked his glasses and everything, right? As
Yeah,
well,
and
he's
then he
got
picks up the
wounds.
glasses at the end when they're broken
They're
and he puts
cracked
them
and
back
broken.
on. Yeah.
Never new glasses. Even Karen makes a mention of that in the beginning of the first
No,
episode.
she wanted him to get new ones. She said those ones
Oh, I
aren't,
thought
but
she said those were
his
new.
are comic accurate.
Yeah,
No,
they
she
are.
was telling him
Well,
those
now he has to
circle
get new ones.
ones. I mean, is he does he really even need to wear them?
I think it's more for other people.
But he had them on in his apartment.
Okay, so
He was
his
alone.
apartment. Okay, I like Matt's glow up
Clark
apartment.
Kent
It's
has his
clearly
glasses
not
on
the
at his
same
house.
apartment as the
What are you
Netflix
doing?
series, but I do love that Matt has upgraded to a TV so he can listen to the news and he's chopping vegetables and stuff in the dark because to
Yeah,
me
I
it's
did like that he had the
outrageous,
lights off.
but he's
Yeah. Why would he
blind.
turn the
So
light
what's the
on?
difference?
Yeah.
Why does he need lights? But to me, it's wow, he's going to chop his finger, but idiot Matt, you stupid head, he's blind. He doesn't know that there's lights on or not. I mean, he does, but he doesn't need the lights. But I thought he upgraded his apartment pretty nice. It's not the one from the Netflix, but I think he's a very
Someone
good
said they
home
thought it was the same
interior.
one from the Netflix apartment, and I was like,
Kat
"This
mentioned it
looks different."
actually, but no, it was
But
definitely
it
a
does
different
have the
apartment
bright light.
because
So
he
I was
moved
like,
out of Hell's Kitchen.
that's what I thought too. He goes, "I'm
He
not in
did.
Hell's Kitchen much anymore." So I was like, "Okay, well, it can't be the same apartment." But I was like, maybe I just missed
I
something.
think it's just New York. There was bright lights, but he did move out of Hell's Kitchen.
You just found another really nice apartment with a bright light that nobody else
I
wants.
mean, it's New York again, so he got it probably for cheaper because there were lights shining in. Yeah. I'm just fascinated that he has a TV this time. That's more of what I'm more fascinated by.
Yeah, and he had music playing. He seems like he's living his life more. But it's like when he
Yeah.
first started daredeviling, he was fresh out of law school. He was a
Mhm.
very young, I mean, he's still a bachelor, but he was a young kid.
He
And a lot
was
of their math doesn't add up much when a lecturer's like, I haven't seen you in 10 years. I'm like, how long was he in law school for? That
10
doesn't make
years,
sense. 10
obviously. I don't
years.
know. You
He
take one
took the
class at
bar
a
a lot
time,
of
all right?
times.
I don't
Uh,
know. But you're right. I mean, a lot of the math doesn't add up, but it's still nice to be back in this world
yes.
and a lot of that stuff. I thought it was great. I thought the episode ended great. It's 9 episodes. So there were 1 episode a week. There's 1 week where we get 2 episodes.
I
So that
like
way
that it
they
was
can end it
2.
before Andor.
Like all
One
these
thing that I really want to shout them out for is the first episode is 57 minutes. The second episode was like 45. They really drew it out. That's what they
Yeah.
have to do with these shows. You
Which
can't
pisses me
say
off with the Star Wars ones when it's like 30 minutes. I'm like, I
that's what
barely
I'm
sat
saying.
here. I didn't even have time to like
You
get into
literally
it. Now it's over.
cannot. If you're giving us 6 episode seasons, I hope this
Which is
is
what they
the wake up
usually do
call.
with Marvel.
Right. I think this might be the wake up call for them for their future television shows, because I think this is going to show Disney that, hey, yeah, you need to do the HBO thing where they have full on hour-long episodes if you're
Yes,
committing.
not the HBO thing where you take 5-year hiatuses between
No,
seasons.
or
Don't do
Amazon
that.
Prime where it's 4 years in between. But no,
I'm
it's
okay with that
more
with
of
The Boys. I get to rewatch it every couple of years.
no, it's more of the fact that you had like it was an hour long, and I ate every second of that. I was more. You can't don't tell me it's 45 minutes and it's actually 30 minutes, because then nothing happens
I
in the
know,
episode.
because Disney has,
And
like,
then you
10
just
minutes of
rushed.
credits, and it's
The
just
series,
yeah.
yeah, the season's just rushed and it's pointless. And so I really think that this is going to be the turning point for Marvel, to where the longer episodes, there's 9 episodes, and they are all relatively 45 minutes ish at the very least. I think this could be the turning point that shows them, hey, this is 8 to 9 episodes, 45 to 50 minutes each. We're in.
And then we're gonna see him in Secret Wars, and
There's no
maybe
way we're not seeing him with
Wong
the
can do
Avengers next
something
year.
with the Thing, and then when he goes, "Is this everyone?" and he's like, "You wanted more?" and yes, we wanted more. We wanted Wolverine, we wanted Deadpool, we wanted
Oh,
the
God.
Defenders, and then we will get that scene that I saw in my head. Oh, and
24 episodes per season.
Sky,
I can get into
maybe?
that.
Give us 24 episodes. I like it. Let's
I
go
would eat.
CW
Eat.
style.
Yeah.
As long
I
as
mean,
they're
but
all good, I'm here
but
for it.
even the 13 episodes that they did with this show, there was never any boring, dull
No,
moment.
and they were all like decently long too. Yeah.
Mhm.
I can't stand the Star Wars ones where the episodes feel so
You
short.
finally start getting into the episode and then it's over.
Well, and it's like,
Marvel did
okay,
that too,
it's
though, with like Hawkeye and everything. It was over before you even got into it.
Hawkeye I felt was a little bit longer, but like some of like the Acolyte and stuff was like
Oh
30
gosh, yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
And it was like, "Oh, I'm sitting down and I'm like, I got tea or a beer or something and I'm ready to enjoy the show. The
And
kids are
it's
in
over.
bed." And I'm like, "That's it."
And we're done.
Like
Yeah,
this was great. It was like sitting down and watching a movie.
yeah. And yeah, I hope this is the big turning point. I really enjoyed the first 2 episodes of Daredevil. It was really good to be back. I thought that it was still very mature and adult, and it set the way for the future episodes of the season.
And RIP
And
to Josie's.
I do obviously hope Karen, we get more of her. I think we will. I think that her and Foggy were late add-ins, so you won't see Karen much this season, but I think the next part, season 2, if you will, we're going to see more of her.
I think they have a lot of fill-in to still do.
Yeah,
I
and
think
I'm
they
okay.
were reintroducing us, and I feel like now, I mean, we don't need to be caught up on every single thing that happened in the last 7 years that wasn't covered in the Disney
No,
Plus,
but
but
there is some things that,
some
yeah,
dots need to be connected and things need to be caught up on.
sure. But yeah, and I would like to. I am glad that maybe we're getting to see Matt with other characters too. I think it's good because in the comic books, Foggy and Karen come and go. So I think it's beneficial that we're seeing Matt with different characters at the same time. So
It'd be
I don't
cool
have
if,
a
like,
problem with that.
She-Hulk walked in. Like, to introduce a character that was such a light show into this
Yeah,
dark,
this
like,
dark, and she's
Hell's
like, "Holy
Kitchen vibe.
shit, dude!
Yeah. I think that that
What
would
is going
be
on in your world right now?"
but all these worlds are
Uh,
connected. They're all, Werewolf by Night is in the same world that WandaVision is, and all of these are connected.
that's the beauty. That's why I keep coming back to this stuff, right? I love the fact that we have something so bizarre as Matt Murdock being asked about his job and kids at the same
From
time as
Kingpin.
Hulk introduces his son Scar,
Scar. Hey,
and
guys.
Matt
And
is,
Daredevil's just sitting there.
and then you flash to Echo where Kingpin's in his, his Aloha suit getting shot in the face, and then you flash
That's
to Matt
Hawkeye.
experiencing the most traumatic moment of his life so far. And it's
Yeah.
just like this
Worse
all
than when his dad
connects.
died, I feel like.
And then at the same time, yeah, Megan, I'm telling you right now, dude, Daredevil is, I have found my Marvel guy. It took me until the age of almost 35. It has taken me 5 years of this podcast. It has taken me, what, 40
Almost
Marvel
35.
products?
Your birthday's in October. It's March.
Time flies when you're having fun in Hell's Kitchen.
You're not even 34 and a half.
When I was a boy, I never really was connected to Marvel. I was more of a DC guy. And I finally, Vanessa, she taught me something. And it was that art is beautiful and that I love Daredevil.
The
He's my
Bunny in
favorite
the
Marvel
thunderstorm
character.
or snowstorm.
Yeah, I'm in the bag. I love these. We are going to be doing them each and every week. We are going to be doing our Cantina hours for the season as it comes along, except for 1 week. I'll be on my cruise the first week of April. No, second week of April, technically, 7th to 11th. So whatever that week is. That's a conflict. I'm going to be cruising from the balcony.
That's I think I'm actually
Or
going to try to do the Nerd Initiative one that week.
I'll be podcasting from the balcony. I'm going to pick up some comics this weekend, I think, of Daredevil to read more of them. And yeah, so make sure you guys like, subscribe, share, all of that good stuff, because each and every week we are going to be talking Daredevil Born Again. Lauren, do you have any wrap up thoughts before we get up out of here for the week?
I really wish it was Tuesday.
I know. I've never once in my life looked forward to Tuesdays the way I do now.
Especially if you're Sam Winchester.
Well, it's Tuesday again, but yesterday was Tuesday.
But today's Tuesday.
I know. And now we have a reason to look forward to Tuesdays, man. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. It's great. And I love it. I love it. I will watch this.
He's gushing over Marvel.
I've already
and
watched
understanding supernatural references. He's come along.
I know, guys. I've watched Daredevil Born Again episodes 1 and 2 twice already. So I'm going to watch them a third time. Don't worry. That's how obsessed I am right now. And I'm catching supernatural references. But in the meantime, at the end of March, Megan, Lauren, and myself are going to have 2 panels at GalaxyCon Richmond. We are going to be doing a little event.
We're renaming all those panels to Daredevil ones.
Fun fact, really. We are going to straight up, it's all Daredevil. Actually, speaking of Daredevil, we are going into his comic book origin. That episode will drop Monday. And aside from that, we are actually bringing on our friend Andrew to talk about the psyche and mental health of Daredevil at some point. And each and every week, we're going to be reviewing Daredevil. So March, whatever we're in, March Madness. Yeah, we're in Hell's Kitchen. Come find us. Hops Geek News. Oh, shit. Who do I like more? Flash. I mean, it's still Flash. Come on, man. Come on. I'm not going to turn my back on years of Flash. Come on, Andrew. Flash is still my guy. But Marvel now, I've never had that. We were talking about this in the episode that releases Monday. If everybody just assumes it's a Marvel podcast we do, so they ask, well, who's your favorite Marvel character? And I don't know, Iron Man, Ant-Man, depends on the day, I guess. And now I can definitively say it's Daredevil. So there's that. Before I'm a DC guy, Flash, Batman, Aquaman. But now I'm not blind. Well, I once was blind, but now I can see.
And hey, that's a song you might hear in church.
It's true.
It's true. Might still go Sunday. I thought that was interesting where he saw the church.
He's outside the church.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, has he abandoned his faith, or can he just not go in there because the priest died there?
Oh yeah. I wonder how they're going to navigate his Catholic aspects too. Yeah.
Right. And is his mom still around? You think we'll touch that with a 10-foot pole at this point? I feel like her story's been told.
Her story's been told, but I mean, I feel like you can still see her, maybe a cameo.
But I always enjoyed the scenes between Matt and the father.
I did too.
Good. He always knew who he was. He knew he was Daredevil. He also knew him since he was a child. No, since he was an infant, he knew him because we saw
him day one, down since day one.
Mom had postpartum and they took her away and everything. And so, they can't fully abandon his Catholicism.
I mean, we are getting DC and Marvel crossovers this year. A Daredevil Flash. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. Just saying.
DC doesn't have a blind guy, do they?
I don't think they do.
The boys did for 5 seconds.
All right. Yeah. I don't know. I guess we'll find out at our panel of DC.
I know.
Marvel
we got to do
some
crossover. Research.
But long-winded Midwestern goodbye. We'll see you guys next week. Monday is our Daredevil. In the meantime, go listen to our episodes. Carl J. Grasso. We talked to him about Mutilator 2. He's a great horror actor in all sorts of fun B horror films. And then also, if you want to get caught up on the Netflix Daredevil series, Punisher Daredevils, all that good stuff, go. That episode also was out there. Make sure you go listen to those.
Actually watching it.
What? Our episode?
Yeah, right before we watched Daredevil. I was like, hey, if you want to catch up, you should watch our episode. And I didn't think he would. And then I walked in the room and you and I are on the TV. And I'm like, oh, this is weird.
What?
You're like, I can't listen to us because I find myself annoying if I listen to us.
I have to listen once in a while. I listen so that way I can make sure I don't mess anything up in the edits.
Well, yeah, you're editing it. Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Daredevil. We'll see you.